All right, I'm here with Jaime Rice and Sam Marcus from the Franklin County Humane Society to talk to us about the fourth annual Trails for Tails event. How are you guys doing this morning?
Doing well,
Good.
thanks.
Due to COVID-19, the Trails for Tails event is virtual this year. Jaime, tell us how that works.
Well, basically, you can think about running. You can actually go run, or you could walk 3.1 miles, and that counts as your run. You don't actually have to do it. We're not actually going to the park and having the actual run. So even though we had the virtual opportunity before, now everything is virtual. So you'll go to the website, which is runsignup.com, and then you can search for Franklin County Trails for Tails, and it will come up. We also have a link for that on our flyers and mail outs that go out through the Humane Society. But so you register, and then you do whatever you choose. Think about it, actually run it. I've had some people send me their route, a picture of their route that they ran. It's like they're trying to beat themselves. And then your name as a registrant goes into a pot. And on September 5th, which would have been our actual race day, we will announce a random prize drawing winner. So a $100 cash prize for the random prize drawer. And then we also have an option for people to send in a picture of their reason to race. So it could be a pet, it could be a person, it could be just you and your pet. And we're also going to pick a winner from those who have submitted pictures. Again, a $100 prize drawing, or $100 cash prize. So register, think or walk or run, and then you might get a prize. We do have T-shirts this year. This is the last year's T-shirt, and I think Sam has on our first year T-shirt. Our T-shirt this year is white, so his really kind of gives you an idea of, the style of the shirt this year. It's white, and it's got a black and white logo on the front, and our sponsors are on the back.
And so everybody, and speaking of T-shirts, everybody who registers by August 23rd, they can get a shirt.
Yeah.
And I guess you guys can they also purchase shirts on their own? Is that right?
Yes, they can. Thank you for asking. They so you get a shirt automatically, and then if you want a shirt, let's say that you want to get an extra shirt, because this is a very interesting year. The logo for the shirts this year, we wanted it to reflect that, this is a trying time. I mean, thank God we're getting through this, but it's been a struggling time, and our shelter has continued to care for animals. So on our shirt, we wanted to somehow recognize that the community and the volunteers and the shelter staff and everybody just kept on trucking. So the shirt does have a reference to COVID. It's not meant to make light of it at all. It's just meant to say, look, this was the year of COVID. And so the shirt does have a emblem that represents this trying year. So we've had really good feedback. People like it, and so they'll order extra. And then some people are like, well, let me just order shirts. So you can do that too, but they start at $15. And when I say start at, I believe for every X, like if you got an XL, you add $1 to the fee for the shirt.
Cool. And there's something about that, the culture of running in the 5Ks. You always got to get a shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. And speaking of the shirts, there are sponsors listed on the back. Do you want to name off the sponsors as well?
Yes. So Feeder Supply is our major sponsor again this year, and we're still working on sponsors, but so far we have Community Trust Bank. We also have John and Phyllis Sauer, and we have Rick Preston of Sturm Insurance, and then my little business, Sustainable Fitness. I believe those are all the ones that we have confirmed. There are some others that are tentative that asked me to let them get back with with
Yeah.
me because you know of the time it is right now. Everybody's kind of balancing everything, trying to figure out how much they can contribute.
Yeah. So you may get more sponsors before it's all said and done.
Yeah.
So talk to me real quick about, we already talked about this a little bit, but who can participate and what the fundraiser is going to support?
Yeah, very important. So I don't know if you can see the sign behind me. It's probably not up, but it says Future Home of Franklin County Humane Society. So all the proceeds go toward the funding of the new shelter. And I was speaking with somebody the other day about that this is becoming more and more real. Like our first year, it was kind of like off in the distance, you know, like one day, you know, we'll have a shelter. Won't it be great? Let's raise funds. And that this year, you know, we've got the city and the county support, and then Sam and Carrie and a bunch of other people have worked so hard to get the picture of the shelter, the proposed shelter on the website. And so when you see that, it's like, wow. So we're actually, you know, we're actually getting really close here of building it. So all the proceeds go toward the building of the shelter as opposed to like day-to-day operations. And anybody can participate because you don't have to actually run. Anybody can participate in it. And it made me think of, I don't know if you've seen, well, you probably have, you've seen these things on TV where there will be an elderly person or someone who has a challenge or something that they're overcoming, and they'll do little bitty bits at a time. And it's like this really big motivation. So maybe, you know, somebody would be doing that. Well, maybe I can't go 5K all at once, but I'll eventually get there. So they can, you know, sign up and do it that way, that they actually did the 5K, and it doesn't have to be all at once. So anybody, there is no age restriction, there is no ability, there's nothing. You just sign up and you might win $100.
Yeah. And it goes to a great cause. It goes to funding of the new shelter. And that brings me to Sam Marcus. Tell us a little bit more about the new shelter and where the project stands right now.
Yeah, sure. So the capital campaign has started, and the capital campaign was for us to raise our share of the funds, the remaining funds, to get the new shelter started and begin construction. And so the campaign goal ended up being $1.6 million. So in Frankfort, Kentucky, that's still a pretty large amount of money and a pretty big ask. But that meant that we had 1.8 million from the city and the county combined that were committed to the project, which we certainly are grateful for. And we had already raised through pledges and through contributions and some estate bequests that we were left with. Fortunately, we had about 1.1, 1.2 million. So that's how we determined the campaign goal based on the last estimates that we had for the project. And so we set it at $1.6 million. And we began really only at the end of June, the beginning of July. And so the first month we actually had about $260,000 either pledged or donated to the capital campaign fund. So a good start, certainly for the first month. Have to say this month has been a little slower than that. So, we'd like to kick this up again a little bit. If there were a couple of things that I would stress, one is that the $1.6 million is still an ambitious goal, and so we've got a ways to go. The other is, if there's some urgency here, because we've outlived our shelter, our current shelter. It's 51 years old now. It's been through floods. It's not going to survive another flood. Now it's been 10 years since since the last emergency evacuation, which is great. But that really means we're living on borrowed time. So, our goal is to raise this money in a year's time because it's going to take a year to build the new shelter. So right now, even if we had the funds, in hand today, we'd still be more than a year away from being in. So, it's a tough time to ask people to donate money. We know that. But on the other hand, we don't really have a choice. We've got the urgency here. We're closer than we've ever been to this goal and to this actually finally happening. And if people have been sitting on the fence waiting, will this ever happen? Now we know it will happen. And if anybody wants to see it happen and is interested in a new shelter and wants us to have a new shelter, then quite honestly, they need to get involved. They need to contribute. They need to, if everybody does their part, we'll get this done. The other way is any contributions welcome. So if you go to our website, fchsanimals.org, very prominently displayed there is information about the new shelter. You click on the new shelter and there it gives you ways to donate. And, we love and accept any contributions. So, you can enter any amount and it's securely taken through your credit card information. And, that's one way to do it. Of course, the other way is to sign up for the race. And then the third way is obviously to go to the shelter or send a check to the shelter. If you send money to the shelter, the only thing that we ask about that is that you say somewhere specifically new building or new shelter so that we know that it's not a donation for operations, but it's a donation for the new shelter. So, somewhere just we ask you to say on there, hey, this is for the new shelter.
Jaime Rice and Sam Marcus with the Franklin County Humane Society. Thank you guys so much for joining me today and letting folks know about the Trails for Tails event.
Thank you, Zach.